you know that Berlin had over 100 queer clubs in the 1920s? Some people say there were even more, and that means there were more queer clubs in the 1920s in Berlin than there are now. While homosexuality was technically illegal at that time in Germany, lots of queer and trans people from all over the world came to Berlin, as it was known as a city of freedom for everyone who wasn't cis or heterosexual. And there wasn't only one, but 3 magazines specifically for lesbian women. One was called Frauenliebe, and another one, actually the biggest one, was called Die Freundin. Freundin was really kind of a code word for lesbian woman around that time. And one person really used those magazines for big advertisement. One of the most influential personalities of the lesbian movement and the most important activist for queer subculture of that era, Lotte Hahm. Born in 1890, who moved to Berlin during the Roaring '20s. Lotte very quickly became very well known for opening clubs for lesbian women and trans people exclusively. The first club was called Violetta, and many more clubs, bars, and other spaces for lesbians followed, while providing a safe space for lesbians and trans people to celebrate, have a good time, and exchange, connecting people, creating strong unions, and helping members of the community were always part of the agenda. This included, for example, a fund to support lesbian women in need. Lotte founded different societies for lesbian women all over Germany, calling them to unite and become active in the fight for queer rights, and was also one of the founding members for Germany's first organization for trans people. It is assumed that Lotte may have been trans. Indicators are a very masculine style, and that might not sound too interesting from our perspective nowadays, but don't forget that this was 100 years ago, where most women still wore a corset. But also the possession of a Transvestitenschein. Apparently the term transvestite was around that time used to describe transvestites, cross-dressers, but also trans-identifying people. Now, let's not romanticize the fact that queer and trans people experience and are still experiencing a lot of discrimination in this country. But when you hear about the progress and the freedom of the 1920s, especially here in Berlin, it sounds like things were moving in the right direction, huh? But with the rise of the Nazis, Lotte Hahm had to close all her establishments in the early 1930s. Homosexual people, especially gay men, were persecuted. Not only was Lotte now branded as a pervert, but her partner, Käthe Fleischmann, was Jewish. Despite the immense risk of being discovered, deported, and eventually murdered, they kept trying and fighting to find ways for lesbians and trans people to gather. Both survived the persecution of the Nazis, and Lotte did not give up. Honestly, I have the feeling that this person had a never-ending source of energy and courage. Right after World War II and the Nazi dictatorship were over, Lotte was back in the game right away and opened another club and a bar and a cafe and even a hotel for lesbian women, where they could be safe and exchange and connect. I think there's hardly a personality of the queer movement in Germany that stands out as much as Lotte Hahm. And that's what she kept doing until her death in 1967.